All right, are you ready to do this again? See if we can do it. I'm going to just do my best to forget that you're there. I'm not going to ignore you. I don't want you to think that, but if I just try to do my show and go from there. So here goes. You made it to another episode of We Live on a Planet. I'm your host, Patrick. Thank you for joining me for episode 443, give or take. I'm recording this right now early, Friday, November 13th, 2020. Friday the 13th? Don't let that bother you. It's just a number. 13 happens to be my youngest daughter's favorite number. Speaking of numbers, 36 degrees Fahrenheit here in upstate New York, right on the lake shores of Lake Ontario. With the temperatures, it feels like 28. It's chilly. Highs are only going to be about 48. Winds are out of the southeast right now, 8 miles per hour. We have a good show. I just want to have some mental gymnastics today. We'll practice our thought process, talk a little bit, share a quote. Probably head on over to the Facts site, History Channel as well. Try to get a couple wrinkles on that brain of ours. It's always good to learn. Feels good to come out and talk to you too. So thank you for joining me whenever it might be that you're hearing this episode 443. I appreciate it. Stick around, get comfy, grab yourself a beverage of choice, and we'll start the show. Well, we already have started the show, but we'll dive into the quote when we come back. I'll be right back. Alrighty, now for our quote. Ooh, my coffee is hot this morning. If you followed my video that I did before, I had coffee, but I was out of my coffee, and I was drinking my wife's Starbucks, and Starbucks is like rocket fuel to me. Just a strong coffee. All right. Excuse me. I forgot you were there. I'm sniffling. I'm getting ready to record again. Hey, welcome back. All right, here's a quote from Jason Garner. You deserve to rest, even if only for a moment. Put down the weight you're carrying. Let go of the need to keep it all together. Take off your warrior mask. For this moment, now, just breathe. Speaking of warrior masks, we're all wearing our warrior masks, but he's speaking metaphorically, obviously. And I like how he says, put down the weight you're carrying. Let go of the need to keep it all together. It reminds me of one of my favorite Buddhist monks, Ajahn Brahm. And he says, it's only heavy if you hold it. So put down the stick. Put down the stick that you're carrying. And a lot of times it's so easy for us to pick that stick back up and carry that burden and carry that weight. So for today, for a moment, whenever you may need it, take off your proverbial warrior mask for just a moment and take a breath and just breathe and be here for the moment and try to just be. Not always to be settled. It's not always easy. That's for sure. Once again, I always share these quotes not to be that I'm walking the line of them, but I do it to reaffirm it to myself so I can hear it. First, I write it, and then I'm saying it. So all these things are working deep down in these little synapse gray matter areas. So it's enforcing it, even if I don't know it. Oh, so okay, so that's our quote. We'll jump around. And jump up, and get down. Okay. My car got done Monday. Yay, I'm so happy for that. My car, if you follow the show, you know that I had to have some stuff done. And all right, boy, that was kind of a late applause. But my car got done Monday, and it looked brand new. I mean, it's a 2019, but how they detailed it inside and out, they just did a fantastic job. And I'm really happy with the cleanup crew. They did a good job. And then the service writer, Jimmy, is the one who said, "Hey, we'll do a courtesy cleanup," and they went above and beyond, and that's a lot, and that means a lot because usually if you've been wronged or if something bad has happened, you tend to tell more people that you got screwed than if you got something good happen to you. It just happens to be, for some reason, as humans, we're like, "Oh, you're not going to believe what happened to me." And we just go off and people can't believe it. And then you kind of forget sometimes when something nice happens. And so this is something where I can say, hey, yeah, something went awry. It turned pear-shaped, but they went above and beyond to make it right for me. So I'm real thankful for that. And I think I might have made a friend too. And so I'm thankful for that with Jimmy. He's still doing his podcast, Isaac's Place, which I'm happy that he's doing because it's just, his message is important. Teen suicide period, is just a terrible, terrible thing that affects so many people in this world and right here in America. And too many young people are taking their lives. And Jimmy's trying to make awareness to that and start a safe place in his community for people to go, for LGBT teens, and just all that. It's just a good message, and it feels good. So I think we're going to try to catch up and have a cup of coffee together and just chat and talk podcasting and talk other things like that. So I was happy about that. Stick around. We'll be right back. I got more to talk about, I promise. We'll be right back. Okay, now it's not that hot. A little behind the scenes still again. Thank you for being here. Maybe it's boring. I don't know. Maybe. But I feel a lot more comfortable than the first time I did it. I was all sweaty lipped and everything, if you remember. And I feel a lot better. All right. Sniffly though, so I apologize about that. I keep forgetting you're hearing that. So rude. It's so where it's like, stop doing that. I'm not doing it on the podcast. Okay. And welcome back. So if you follow the show, you know that I was saying how I wanted to get a bunch of yard work done before the weather changed. And just the other day, it was like 72 or 73 here in Oswego, just unseasonably warm, and just got it all buttoned up. And I'm really excited. Got everything all put away. And then my back porch, we put like my lawnmower and lawn chairs and the grill and the fire pit and all the other stuff on there, and then take plastic wrap, like food plastic wrap. And I figured this out years ago, and I talked about it one time on a podcast because I felt so brilliant. Because I used to use a blue tarp, and it wouldn't stay upright. It looked terrible. The wind would catch it. It'd make all kinds of noise. You couldn't see the backyard that well because there's a big blue tarp, so you can't see through it. So one year I was like, oh, I wonder if I could take plastic wrap and wrap the poles so that way when it snows, the snow doesn't come all into the back porch and cover all the stuff that I have in there protected for the winter. And I went to the dollar store and got a buttload of plastic wrap, and it was 80 feet is what the rolls were because they're just dollar store, and it worked perfect. And I couldn't believe it. And I felt so like I had a great moment. And so we've been doing that. And then the other day, since I knew I was going to be doing this whole buttoning up for the winter, I happened to be at my local Walmart picking up some items. And then I'm like, oh, instead of going to the dollar store, I'll just get the plastic wrap here. So I grabbed like 5 rolls, but they're 200 feet instead of 80 feet. But I'm like, I'm not even thinking about it. So I get them all. Everything's all cleaned up, get ready to go wrap the porch. I open one box. I go to get ready to wrap, but I'm like, oh, let me see if it fits between the pole and the house, because how it is, it's like the back porch is almost like a lean-to, and part of the wood that goes up meets the roof of like the lean-to type thing, and then the house, and there's only a small gap right there. And I took the 200 roll feet and realized, oh, snikes, it doesn't fit through there. So the 80-foot roll did because it's smaller diameter, but that 200-foot roll, bigger diameter, couldn't fit it through. So that was my dilemma. But I brought them all back to Walmart. They gave me all my money. Then I went to the dollar store and got a buttload of 80 yard and got it all wrapped up tight and buttoned up tight, and it looks good. I'm happy. And our side lot, which I've talked to you about, there used to be a house, and I've talked about that house too in past podcasts and what a disaster it was and how it got condemned, and it took them a while for them to tear it down, and then they tore it down, and now it's an empty lot that we acquired with grass that I've been taking care of since August. And so when I was doing the yard work, I got that all mowed and all the leaves cleared off for the season. And when I clear off the leaves, I just mulch them. I said that last time. I'm like, I just mulch them. It takes a little bit. You can't just dive right into them. You got to baby the mower in there so it doesn't overload the mower. But yeah, and got that all done and everything like that. Still making some TikTok videos, not a whole bunch, but they're fun. I'm getting good feedback from TikTok. TikTok's fun, and I'm happy my sister encouraged me to do that. My YouTube channel, it's pretty bleak still. I have 15 subscribers, which I'm very, very thankful for. I'm thankful for every one of my subscribers, but my YouTube channel doesn't get many views. I put things on there, but it stays stagnant for quite a while. All right, what else are we going to talk about? I'm sure I'll figure it out when we come back. Stick around. We'll be right back. Get more coffee. And welcome back. Thank you. So, here on the show, I open up and I'm honest. I talk about my sobriety. I talk about my mental illness, my chemical imbalance, and the struggles that I have and everything. And I'll tell you, it's it really hits me a lot of times how um, debilitating, or whatever word I'm looking for, that my anxiety can cause me, because just the simplest of tasks that people do cause me so much more anxiety that I can't explain. Like, simple, like, example, getting my car done. Like, I talked to you about getting that done. Once I made that appointment for the car to go in, that's all I could think about was bringing it in, having to go to drive. And I think driving too, though, I have some PTSD from my accident that I was in back in March 2019, where could have died. And so now I'm really high alert on the roads. I'm really nervous about everybody driving, but just the thought of doing all the process of going was just like causing me so much weird angst that I can't explain it and describe it. And I was just telling you about like our yard, and how, well, I was telling you about last podcast about maybe there's like a drug house in my neighborhood. And I mean, keep in mind, I don't even think I told you the windows are blacked out. On the bottom floor, okay, if you're doing work, maybe you don't want people to come in and see your tools or whatever work you do. But on the top floors where nobody can see in, and there's black plastic, I mean, something's fishy. But my anxiety, though, is that when there's an issue that might be going on, it's hard for me to address it, or it's either black or white for me. It's either all really pretty good or all really bad. There's none of that gray. And our neighbors, our streets here in Oswego are pretty tight anyways. They're very narrow. And one of the houses right across the street from us is a rental, and they work, I think, at one of our local nuke plants. And there was at one time 4 different people living there, so there was 4 vehicles, and it took up just an awful lot of space in the road. And anytime we needed to get out of our driveway is difficult, because I'm on a hill and my driveway's a really big slant. And so you can't come just straight down my driveway. You have to come down and then cut it. You have to be able to cut your wheels before you hit the bottom of the road. Otherwise, you bottom out the front of your car. And what happens is people will pull up, and they'll pull up right to the end of our driveway and then stop. Whereas I don't know why. I think it's just like a subconscious thing where they're not even thinking, where they see the end of a driveway and they're like, oh, that's the line, that's where I stop. And all they need to do is just scooches. If they were to park back just a little bit from our driveway, when we go to get out, it's not a problem. And it's been that way for quite a while, and it's been one of our banes and our frustration, and we'll just kind of complain about it to one another, me and my wife. And I'm like, man, I don't understand why my neighbors won't park back from my driveway. Can't they see? They know my driveway is wicked steep. It's all this and that, and I should go over and talk to them. And then I get nervous thinking about talking to them. And today's culture, today's society, I mean, everybody's just so miserable and torn. And you can't tell me what to do type stuff. And so we're just kind of letting it go, but we're like, this is going to be an issue in the winter. And it kind of was last winter. And so the other day when I was coming back from getting the car done, I went to pull into the driveway, and the neighbor's car, it's a neon, was parked right tight to my driveway. So I had a hard time getting in. And I come into the house and I say to the wife, I'm like, man, I'm so frustrated by that. And she's like, well, you won't have to be anymore. And I said, why? And she's like, because, and I'll tell you what she said when we come back. See how I leave you a little bit of suspense? Makes you want to come back. All right, and so I'm back. So this is what she told me. She goes, all right, I happened to be going outside to fix the flag because our flag was all tied up on the pole. And she goes, he was pulling up and getting out of his car, our neighbor. And she goes, I went down to him and I said, hello, I'm Kimberly. And she introduced herself and was very polite and explained to them the situation of how the parking is and coming out of our driveway. And if he would be so kind as just to be able to park just a little back from our driveway, it would make a huge difference and we'd be so appreciative. And he was like, oh yeah, well, first of all, he goes, well, we can't park here in the winter. She's like, well, I know, but I mean, like right now, but he ended up saying, yeah, that's not a problem. And ended up being nothing. And it caused me where I'm like, for how long I could have went over and maybe said something, but what would happen is anytime I go to talk to somebody about anything like that, it's like my nerves start just getting the best of me. I get nervous or something and I get actually physically shaky, even if it's nothing major, something like that. Another prime example. So the side lot that I'm telling you about that I've been keeping clean. And so the other day, it's that sunny day and I get it all mowed and all cleaned of leaves and everything like that. And it was later on in the evening, probably around 5 o'clock at night. And all of a sudden I look out the window and what the heck? There's a big SUV parked right in the lawn. Right next, because there's my house, the empty lot, and then a neighbor's house. And that big SUV was from the neighbor's house. And it's like, what the heck? What do I do? I'm like, I need to go over there and say to them, you're on our lot. Can you move your vehicle? This isn't a parking spot. And it seemed to me, it's like you've been watching or hopefully or noticed since August, I've been mowing and taking care of this lot that's right next to you, that I'm not doing it just to be a nice guy. It's that it's ours now. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. I got all anxious, all that kind of stuff. Once again, thank goodness for my wife. I sound like I can't do it. I don't know. But my wife's like, no, I'll go over and take care of it. I'll be very friendly. I won't, whatever. So she went over but the guy was real confused. She's like, is this your vehicle? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, well, it's not a parking spot. It's our yard. And he's like, it's your yard. And she's like, yeah, we bought it. And he's like, oh, you did? You bought it? And she's like, yes. And he's like, oh, okay. He seemed real confused and all right, well, we won't park there anymore. And then that was that. And then what happens to me though, as soon as she tells me, all of a sudden I'm like, you know what's going to happen? Because we watch too much ID channel, that investigative discovery channel. I'm like, oh no, you know that? Have you ever watched it? Have you ever seen Fear Thy Neighbor? I'm like, oh no, what if that happens? It always happens with something real small. And whenever I watch those shows, and I'm like, is this going to be like Fear Thy Neighbor? and something's going to go bad now, even though if it was the other way around, if they acquired that empty lot right next to their house, because they could have, and if I had friends or anybody else parked there, I don't think they would have a problem coming over and knocking on my door and saying, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is ours now and you can't park here. Most people don't have a problem, but for me, it just turns to, oh no, it's going to be like an episode of Fear Thy Neighbor. And yeah, that's my ramble. I don't know. I rambled a lot today. I kind of wanted to tell you, though, how my anxiety can just really get the best of me sometimes. And then I work things up more than what they really are. And I have this where I feel like it's always going to be bad or something. I don't know. I can't explain it. All right, stick around. We'll be right back. Wow, this is a long video. I was going to try to do like 15 minutes and then be able to put it up to TikTok, but it's already a 26-minute long video. Maybe I won't even. I say this. Maybe I won't post it. Maybe I will. I don't know what to do. I always feel like my podcasts sometimes are pear-shaped and go all over the place, and I feel all over the place this morning. Like I don't even know if I have the facts all pulled up, and I don't even think I want to try to stumble and read it, or the History Channel. I think I'm going to just kind of wrap the show up. Yeah, let me do that. Alrighty. Welcome back. Thank you for your time. Like I said, the most valuable thing you could ever give me. And check out my TikTok videos. They're fun. It's at We Live on a Planet on TikTok. I'd love to have you come on over and follow me. That would be fun. And don't forget, I do have a YouTube channel. My shameless plug of trying to get some love on the YouTube channel. As always, do your best to stay curious and not judgmental today the best you can. And stay healthy. Don't forget to take off that warrior mask today, just for a moment, and just breathe. Everything's going to be okay. Thanks again for your time. I'll talk to you again real soon. Peace. And I'm clear. And so are you now. Thank you for your time.